The year is 2007 and the German publisher Überreuter has published a new novel by the always reliable author Wolfgang Holbein. Holbein has risen to stardom in the 80s after he and his wife Heike wrote a young adult fantasy novel together which was really popular called Märchenmond. And ever since then, Holbein has kept writing and writing and writing. This man is in many ways the German Stephen King. He has written over 200 books till today, and they are all plagued by the same issues, which is they are technically very competently written, but very samey. And while he has creative ideas, and they do shine through, all of the endings usually suck. Again, the Stephen King comparison. But he is a very solid entertainment writer, a very solid pulp writer. And this new book in 2007 was right in that vein. It was a mystery, action, adventure novel, starring the German-American character Thor Garson, an all-original adventurer, in the tradition of characters like Indiana Jones. Well, kind of more than just in the tradition, because once people started reading it, they may have noticed something. Der Dämonengott, aka Demon God, which it would translate to, seemed pretty similar to another Holbein novel, and with pretty similar I mean it's literally identical, except he replaced the name of the main character. In the 1990s there was a big push for media tie-in novels, Star Wars obviously, but also Indiana Jones. The trilogy was finished and the TV show The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles was still to come out, and Bantam, who also published Star Wars novels, commissioned a bunch of Indiana Jones prequels, essentially, adventures that take place before the movies. So we got 12 of those novels, but we also got a longer series of young Indiana Jones adventure novels. But Lucasfilm did something pretty fun and unique, which hasn't really been repeated, which was, hey, let's have other authors from other countries write their own novels. So we got a couple French-exclusive young Indiana Jones novels and a few Indiana Jones comics. But even better, Germany got its own set of 8 original Indiana Jones novels. And the interesting thing about those was, out of the 8 books, 7 of which were set after the movies. So that was pretty interesting, Indiana Jones during World War II. And the author to write these novels, none other than Wolfgang Holbein. Because the publisher in Germany just needed an author who could write quickly. And oh boy, did Wolfgang write quickly. This is not a dig on the books, I have reviewed all of them on my channel, and I think Wolfgang Holbein is the best Indiana Jones writer for these expanded adventures. His books are extremely entertaining, they are just perfect at capturing the tone, the atmosphere, the comedy and the style of Indiana Jones. I would highly recommend reading them, and if you don't speak German, there are fan translations out there online. Because none of these exclusives from different countries have been translated to English officially. So those books came out between 1990 and 1994, all 8 of them. And that was it. I think they have been reprinted maybe once or twice in the years after that. And I mean the first couple of years after that. But once they were out of print, they were gone. But that's also true for the American Indiana Jones series. These books, while pretty good, and I would recommend them to fans, they are just not easy to get, not even as like ebooks. Again, legally speaking, as officially licensed and released. You can still find them online if you really, look for it. But now here we are in 2007. It has been 17 years since Holbein released his first Indiana Jones novel, Indiana Jones and the Feathered Serpent, and now it's time to release a new book. And oh boy, he had a brilliant idea. The Indiana Jones novels of his were not available anymore, and I guess he didn't give a shit about the contract with Lucasfilm. Or maybe it was a shitty contract and didn't cover stuff like this, but for whatever reason, Holbein decided, hey, let's bring it back. So in 2007 we got the first Thor Garson novel, and the genius way that Holbein went with is, he took the book, he had the full thing, and then he went, search, replace, Indiana Jones, Thor Garson. And boom. There you have it, another bestseller. Not really, I don't know how well this sold, but that is pretty much what happened, because I read the first book, The Demon God, because, hey, this is fascinating. An author just blatantly republishing a book that he has already written. Just the main character's name is changed. And I wanted to see what else is changed. Like, maybe it's totally different in a way, you know, where a bunch of stuff is changed. Maybe he polished it a little bit because he wasn't 100% happy with how it first turned out. And no, so here's my quick review. It is literally the same book, like exactly the same. All the other characters, it's all the same, except Indiana Jones turned into Thor Garson. And by that I mean all of his dialogue and stuff is pretty much the same. But early on in the first chapter or two, there's 1 or 2 paragraphs added, which just explains Thor Garson's backstory and relationship to his father, and that Thor is a German-American reporter who's like a hobby archaeologist and stuff. Just, you know, to differentiate him somewhat from Indy. And the time frame is changed, because the prologue was set in 1929 in the original Feathered Serpent novel, and then the main story picked up a couple years later in 1932. All of this book takes place in 1935 now. But that is pretty much it. And during my reading of it, I was kept waiting for like Holbein to have fucked up. And it only happened once, and it's not that big of a fuck up, but at one point, Thor Garson is wearing a hat. Like literally only at one point. It doesn't establish exactly like how he dresses in every scene, but at one point it just says, for the only time in the book, oh, he's wearing a hat. And that's because, you know, Indy's famous fedora in the original text. So not even really that big of a fuck up. It's not like he suddenly had like the fucking whip or anything. But yeah, that is The Demon God, the first book in the Thor Garson series, which may bring us another book because the last one was published in 2018. Okay, so with Thor Garson there are 5 books in total, and books 1 to 4 have all been published from 2007 till 2008. Okay, that makes enough sense. And then for some reason that I cannot understand, other than maybe he has like contractual obligations, Holbein released a 5th Thor Garson novel in 2018. And they are all just his original Indiana Jones novels, again with just Indy replaced with Thor. And they are not in the same order. I think the first 3 books are the same, in the same order. Then book 4 of Thor Garson is book 6 of Indy, and then book 5 of Thor is actually book 4 of Indy. And it's not like his Indiana Jones books, they didn't have like a great continuity, they were all standalone, but I just find that interesting why, I don't know, maybe it's supposed to like hide the fact that they are just remakes, essentially. I'm also very hyped to read the rest of the Thor Garson series myself now, because while the first and second book are adaptations of the first 2 Holbein Indy novels, those just starred Indiana Jones and original characters. It wasn't like big things from the movies, you know, were in there. But with the third book, Marcus Brody showed up and played a pretty big part. And I'm curious to see what Holbein did with that. I'm assuming he had to rewrite way more of that one and replace Marcus also with an original character. And I'm curious to see how that turned out. And I'm also very fascinated, and I wonder, is Holbein gonna release the remaining Indiana Jones books, but now as Thor Garson books? Because there aren't that much left, and I don't even know why he did the 5th one in 2018. Again, contractual stuff? Or maybe, hey, maybe Holbein just wants to keep the indie books available for the people, even though he can't have indie in them anymore. But whatever the case, I think the Thor Garson series is just a fascinating little tidbit in the greater Indiana Jones universe. This just really kind of shameless German cash grab, which doesn't affect 99% of the fandom, you know, except the couple of German weirdo fans like myself who find out about this and are like, what the hell is this?